In this video, I'm going to be talking about psychic attacks. Okay, see, so first let's start with the fact that psychic attacks does happen. So because this is the case, because they do happen, it is very important to make sure that you protect yourself at all times. There are people that get attacked energetically, because like some people don't want to use the word psychic or whatever. I know for me it's not the most popular word. I don't like it because I just kind of feel like it's a stigma that's associated with it. But energetically, there's a lot of people that get energetically attacked all the time. And yes, it's by outside entities. It can be by others, like through other people's thoughts, ill wills, like what they wish on you, things that they try to do to affect you. But it could just be entity-wise too, just outside entities or just energy that's coming your way, clouding your judgment, speaking things to you, attacking, just being negative. Like, for example, I look at our minds. I really do look at our minds as like this portal. It's a portal to where, and we all know the saying, what we think about comes about, or the power of the mind and things of that nature. But what's really interesting, as like in school, in college, studying psychology, we talked about the brain and how scientists cannot completely figure out how the brain functions. They can't. It doesn't matter like how many MRI tests that they do, scanning, whatever. They cannot completely figure out how the brain works. They say that the brain gets to a certain point to where it cannot really be physically calculated. But they do know that there is something that's operating or going on beyond what they can physically calculate. Okay? And that is when you enter into the mind space, or what they call consciousness. So if you think about it, if you come about it from that standpoint or that point of view, here we go. We come back around to our own individualized personal thought processes, and things of that nature. For people that's like, okay, yeah, psychic attacks, entities and stuff like that outside of ourselves, that doesn't exist. Either way, we come back around to it. And like, from the way that scientists approach the situation, and the fact that there's this wave or this portal of consciousness that they really cannot tap into, and with the physical tools and stuff that, or approaches that they have so far, they understand that it extends out, like our consciousness extends out. And there, when you start getting to like the third eye, even above it, when you go into the crown chakra, and above, like things of that nature, you start coming into that part of your existence to where it's not physically calculated. Because we're not all physical matter. That's not all our begin all, end all. It's not the begin all, end all aspects to ourselves. Because we're more than that. We are a system of consciousness, like a stream that keeps going and going and going. We're right now living out a particular existence. Therefore, if you know that is the case, when you leave the body, you still have a life form there. Then you know that other life forms definitely do have access to our consciousness. These type of entities, they usually look for people that they can prey upon, like people that they feel are weak-minded, easily influenced, suffering from certain identity crises. The people that that are more susceptible to these entities are people that don't really know themselves. Because what they seek to do is to have to get you to think that you are something, or think something about yourself that's not true a lot of the times, or that can be true, but you have the power to change and you have the power to overcome, but it's like they make you feel like you don't have that power. You don't have that power to change, and you don't have the power to overcome, and you just get overwhelmed with fear, overwhelmed with anxiety, to the point of where it really affects you on a deep level. And anybody, like, yeah, I know a lot of times, like, people that's more susceptible to these type of energies, they experience this more. But anybody can experience these psychic attacks. They can you can literally experience psychic attacks from other people just thinking negatively of you. This is why it's good to protect yourself. Like, protect yourself. I'm never against protecting yourself with prayer. I'm never against protecting yourself, like visually forming a shield or a covering and asking for that protection. Asking the heavenly bodies, the entities that's on your side that works with you, God, however you want to put it. Ask for your protection. Ask for divine protection. And to shield yourself, because if not, you do leave yourself open to be influenced and psychically attacked by these outside entities. Okay. And then other people's thoughts become things. Other people, listen, if we have these streams of consciousness, this is why we see like certain people, we do have these connections with and on a telepathic level. When we do realize that these streams of consciousness comes out and it extends past like our physical existence, you can see why and how these type of things operate. Okay. We're not just one thing, and we're not just one solid thing. We're very fluid. Okay. We're fluid. We operate across time, especially when we come out different times, different paradigms, especially when we come outside of ourselves, our physical body, our physical being. Okay. So psychic attacks happen, and they can make us feel really negative. They can make us feel really bad about ourselves, put us into depression, states of depression. Okay. Like, psychic attacks happen to people that people say, hey, oh yeah, that person's crazy, he's crazy, she's crazy. Listen to what she's talking about. Listen to what he's saying. And then there's literally people in mental institutions right now that have been psychic attacked, that have been the whole, like, whatever their state of consciousness is, it's been overtaken. They literally have no control over that. They don't have any control over that. They tapped in too far. Something major happened, like maybe one thing too many, and then boom, it took them out. Mentally, they could not handle it. And they literally just flipped out. Okay? That's another conversation. But being attacked psychically or mentally, I'm going to say consciousness, like having those like energetic attacks. Energy is everything. I'm going to continue saying that. Energy is everything. This is why it's important to really get around other people that have your best interest in mind. And let me tell you something. It's not, you can't even really say clearly who has your best interest in mind or your best interest at heart. You can't, because it just all depends on the situation. That's why it's good to learn ourselves. Learn yourselves. Be able to be in a position to where you can be alone. Because the more that you can be alone and take that alone time to learn who you are, to identify what is supposed to be present in your body and within you. And then when something unfamiliar comes, you'll know that it's not familiar. You'll know that your energy is off. You may even know that you're being attacked. Right there, you can say, hey, stop. Go away. I order you to leave. You can, by knowing these things, you can verbally tell whatever is attacking you, people that's entering into your thought process with their thoughts. You can tell them to leave. You can banish them away. You can deny them access to your energetic field. Okay. You can deny them access to that. But that comes with you knowing, hey, something doesn't feel right. I'm feeling off. And guys, believe it or not, we're gonna see more and more of these type of interactions happening a lot because we are raising to another level of consciousness in our being. A lot of people say that's not true. I beg to differ. Okay, I beg to differ. And because we are extending in our reach of consciousness, there are entities, there are beings that don't want that to happen because they feed off of a certain energetic frequency. When you no longer operate or thrive at that level or frequency, they have nothing to feed off of energetically. Okay? But yes, so to protect yourself from psychic attacks, the most important thing, like I said, you have options here, like prayer, protection. You can directly order them to leave. They have no place here. You have no place here, leave. You can block people from like infiltrating you telepathically too. Because believe it or not, more times than often than not, like if you start feeling like intense headaches and you start feeling like your aura, like the aura field around like your third eye chakra, your crown chakra, feeling heavy, feeling like stuffy, feeling like, okay, something has entered in my zone over here. More often than not, somebody could possibly be thinking about you. They could be direct, like I'm like in a very heavy way, you know. They can be wishing you ill will, or it could just be energetically, like another like entity that's getting close to you. And like people don't like to talk about these kind of conversations because they feel like they cannot physically identify these things, therefore it doesn't exist. Mind you, as a person that graduated from college, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of things that they don't have answers to. A lot of cures that we don't have. But needless to say, psychic attacks or energetic attacks can be very detrimental to us because it can keep us stuck in certain thought forms. It can block our conscious, it can block our advancement in consciousness. Because when you want to go up and you want to go above and you want to go beyond, there goes that fear again, telling you, okay, no, something is wrong here. Okay? So you got to be aware of that. And sometimes our own thought process does this to us. Okay? This don't listen. This is not anything hard to believe and understand. Like people with autoimmune deficiencies, their bodies attack itself. Okay? Cells attack other cells in their bodies. Therefore, you can attack, like your own mental thought process can attack itself. Bring sickness into the body, bring doubt, bring depression, bring anxiety, all that. And sometimes you got to find yourself talking back. You got to talk back to whatever feelings that are coming up, you know, and the feelings thing, that's a whole nother thing, you know. Feelings that's coming up, thought processes is coming up, you have to talk back to it. Like sometimes you have to have an actual little fight to say, hey, no, wait a minute, no. You're not going to dominate my being. You're not going to dominate my aura field. These type of thoughts aren't going to dominate me. They're not. What makes them true? What makes them, is there any truth to these thoughts? You know? Yeah. And I tell you, you have to really get used to being, we do as a collective, we have to get used to being to ourselves and being okay with doing that. Like in today's world, and not even just in today's world, this is how we've always been, even now. It's, you always have to have somebody, there, somebody approving who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you're living, approving it, disapproving it. And you know me, like I'm always gonna say, and I always know how to come back to square one and stand on a moral compass. I know how to do that. Okay, so there's certain things that I'm not gonna do. There's certain things I'm gonna do. I know when to draw that line. That's what governing. That's what learning yourself. That's what learning ourselves teach us. That's what it does for us. That's what governing ourselves teaches us. The type of independence, the independent thought processes that we need to govern ourselves. Nobody has to tell you to not do wrong to other people. Nobody should have to tell us that human beings should have access to basic human rights. So yes, being able to know yourself, know how you're feeling, know what you're not feeling, know why you're feeling it. Even if you don't know why, something is off, will definitely be helpful, because a lot of times people, like, they'll have these energetic attacks, and depending on what they need to clear, these energies can stay around. These energies, entities, how you want to put it, can stay around. They can. And then you find yourself hooked on medication. You're going to the doctor 50 million times and they don't know what the problem is. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you have energetic clearing that needs to take place. And don't be someone that has to come and be part of, expanding the consciousness of the people. Yes, people that play that role, that does that job or has that mission, okay, yeah, energetically, there's so many different type of entities, and there's so many different type of energetic aspects that tries to come at them to pretty much stop them, to plant that seed of doubt in their minds, in their consciousness. Okay? So protect yourself. And like I said, people don't understand how powerful the word is, like how powerful, like, your voice is, how powerful it can be to just do self-talk. I mean, if you're a person that absolutely positively feels like you need to go get help with something, by all means, do so. By all means, do so. But just understand, like, the more that you get to know yourself, the more familiar you become with yourself, the more you take that power back. And you actually have more power than you think, especially when it comes to governing yourself. Especially when it comes to yourself. Okay? All right. So I'm Butterfly to Light, and I will be back.